Look at the nations, and watch, and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told.
Like a mighty wave, God is moving, pouring out His grace in astounding and marvelous ways. His love is rolling over the barriers set by governments, skeptics, religious opponents, and even geography. God's passionate desire to embrace His world will not be denied. In Asia, a strategy coordinator began his work with only 3 churches and 85 believers. Today, there are reports of as many as 340,000 believers and 3,400 churches. In North Africa, an Arab Muslim cleric complained recently that more than 10,000 Muslims in the surrounding area had left Islam to become followers of Jesus Christ. In one city in China, more than 20,000 came to faith in Jesus Christ in a 4-year period, resulting in more than 500 new churches. In Latin America, 2 Baptist unions, in the face of great persecution, grew from just 235 churches in 1990 to more than 1,500 Baptist churches and more than 33,000 believers. And among a people group in northern India, they grew from 29 churches to more than 4,300 churches and 300,000 believers in 11 short years. God's Spirit is moving like never before, sweeping through this world and pouring into the hearts and lives of millions of people. As reports pour in daily to the International Mission Board about the miraculous and dramatic movement of God, missiologists have struggled to identify and describe what's happening on a global scale. This special and unique movement, this dramatic outpouring of grace, this explosion of new believers and new churches is called a church planting movement.
The International Mission Board has embraced church planting movements as being something of God. In the past, as we sent out missionaries, we encouraged each one of them to be involved in evangelism that results in churches. What we found was that even our best church planting efforts weren't even keeping up with population growth rates around the world. But when we go and see these church planting movements, they're not only rapidly growing across the city or across a people group, they're actually outstripping the population growth rate of that people or that city or that country.
A church planting movement is a rapidly multiplying increase of indigenous churches planting churches within a given people group or population segment. It is rapid, with dramatic increases in church starts. It is multiplication growth, not just incremental growth. 2 churches become 4, which become 8, which become 16, and so on. This kind of growth is only possible when church members, rather than missionaries or clergy, take the lead in planting new churches. And it is indigenous. While missionaries and clergy may provide an initial thrust, the energy and momentum comes from within the people group itself.
We're seeing young couples, we're seeing young adults, we're seeing people about 2 by 2 leaving their village, going to the next village, and literally with not more than a Bible in their hand, the Holy Spirit in their heart, starting new groups, leading people to faith, starting new churches that are meeting in homes there, organizing some training programs and moving on. It is exciting. It's a fun time to be a missionary.
There are church planting movements all around our world today, in Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. Cambodia is a site of a church planting movement. Once home to a proud and powerful dynasty, Cambodia's recent history is a tragic story of genocide and unprecedented human suffering. A victim of the Vietnam conflict, Cambodia emerged from that war with the Maoist dictator Pol Pot, who drove the country to complete ruin. From 1975 to 1979, more than 3.3 million of Cambodia's people simply vanished, many the victims of executions, disease, and starvation. During this time, missionaries were expelled and many Christians were persecuted and murdered. By 1990, it was estimated that the Christian population had dwindled to no more than 600 believers.